It is February 2nd, 2026. FYI, I'm standing in my kitchen, which feels subject appropriate. I'm going to start off with some news and updates and whatnot before I get into what I ate last week. So, first, a note about a comment that I made last week about Martha Stewart. I contradicted myself when I said that I was tired of aspirational, romanticized food content, yet I criticized Martha Stewart's hyper realistic photo taking abilities. She is keeping it 100% real. So I take it back. I don't think we should teach her how to use her phone camera. I think she's doing exactly what needs to happen. And at this point in her life, I think it might be too late to teach her how to use a camera correctly. I did some research. I'm moving on to an update about the mysterious cookie that I ate last week. I couldn't tell what it was. It was from the Whole Foods cookie bar. It tasted like pumpkin pie filling. It was enrobed in chocolate. I went back to Whole Foods and took a picture of the name card. It's called a Cookie Medallion Speculoos-Filled Chris's, which is an insane product name. It does sound like a cookie from Ruth's Chris's Steakhouse. Turns out that it is from a place called Chris's Cookies. How did I figure this out? Well, first of all, it says Chris's at the end of the name of the cookie. I think that is a mislabeled cookie name. Something's wrong with that name, obviously. But I did see on a Reddit thread, I think a Whole Foods employee confirmed that the Whole Foods cookie bar cookies are from Chris's Cookies in New Jersey. At least the East Coast Whole Foods, I would guess. I don't know if they're shipping all the way to the West Coast. So Chris's Cookies... this makes sense because a lot of the Whole Foods cookie bar cookies are the throwaway Italian dry aniseed flavored cookies that are all come in all different shapes and colors, yet all taste the same. That is the essence of these cookies, and it makes sense that they're from New Jersey. What I'm most perplexed about is, in North Carolina, it's really hard to find black and white cookies and rainbow cookies. So if we have an existing pipeline from New Jersey to our local stores, why are we piping in the worst cookies? Why are we not piping in the black and whites and the rainbows? They do make them. They do put them in other Whole Foods, but not mine. So I'm going to check around my other Whole Foods. Maybe they have, I think there's a Whole Foods in Cary. What is it called? Centralized area, containment area for retired Yankees. Maybe they have black and white cookies. That would make sense. So I'm going to check that out. I brought up the raspberry pie cookies last time, and apparently they also have a guava pie. They have some other tropical pie flavors, which I would like to try. So anyway, the speculoos filling, it's essentially a cookie butter filling, and it is delicious. I purchased another one and shared it with Brian. Unwillingly shared it with Brian, and he said, "Oh wow, where'd you get these? My grandmother used to have these." Which is impossible. She's been gone for many decades at this point. But it is like a sort of, the cookie base is what he was remembering. It was sort of like a soft shortbread. So I don't know what it's reminding him of. What else to say about these cookies? I'm going to keep looking for black and white cookies and rainbow cookies around North Carolina. If you know of anything, let me know and I will go there. What else? A huge news update for you all. Minute Maid is discontinuing their frozen canned products. Sorry about that. My former supervisor, who I meet with once a week and chat. We chat about food a lot. She loves to cook. Her husband brought home 2 giant cans of candied yams. And now she has to figure out what to do with them. She's been struggling. I think I think I blocked out what she told me she did with them because I couldn't even get past the initial ingredient. But meanwhile, she does have these white-fleshed Japanese sweet potatoes that she's getting from her CSA. And she has a CSA from the farm that I used to work at, who has a winter CSA in partnership with another farm, and they do a lot of winter crops. So she says that she read on Serious Eats that the best way to cook a sweet potato is to freeze it first. And then you bake it low and slow, which is great because why am I getting so many messages? Which is great because then you could just store sweet potatoes in your freezer. Which got me excited because I have so many potatoes that are all rotten now, and I keep asking Brian to take them outside and we still haven't. So they are rotting into our house. I thought maybe we could keep the potatoes in the freezer, but no, their composition is different and you can't really freeze potatoes. But I guess you can freeze sweet potatoes, which is fine. I don't know. I don't like sweet potatoes anyway, so this doesn't really help me much. Got a listener feedback, one of my sisters, who said that my beef stew from my last episode is very similar to the Ruth Reichel. How do you say her last name? Ruth Reichel? Beef stew. She has a Substack. You may know her. I think she was a LA Times food critic for a long time. I think she lives in New York now. Anyway, she made a beef stew. She has a post about stormy weather food. Let me scroll down. Okay, so she calls it beef wine onion stew. Take as many onions as you feel like chopping, throw them into a casserole with a bit of butter and a couple of strips of bacon cut into little squares. Add a couple of carrots cut into whatever size you consider edible. Cook them together until they are fragrant and just a bit golden. Add a few cloves of garlic smashed to the mix and any herbs that you happen to have on hand. Thyme is nice, as is parsley, although personally I'd stay away from tarragon and rosemary. Agreed. When they have all turned soft, add a squirt of tomato paste, stir for a minute or so, and put the entire pot full into a bowl to wait. Melt a splash of oil and a pat of butter in the same pan. While it heats, take a couple of pounds of beef, cut up for stew, pat dry, salt and pepper the cubes, toss them in a bag with a bit of flour, and shake until they look like they've been dusted with snow. Cook the beef in flights. It hates being crowded in the pan until beautifully brown and then set aside with the onions. Yeah, so far this is like exactly what I did. Except I did the beef first, removed it, then went in with the onions, the tomato paste, the carrots. So I did it backwards. Just before serving, saute some mushrooms, quartered in a nice amount of butter for about 10 minutes, adding salt and pepper at the end. Toss them into the stew and taste. I am always puzzled about how to cook mushrooms for soup. So there's an answer for me. I like this with simply boiled potatoes, but you could just serve it with a loaf of bread. In this house, this will feed about 4 people, but on a really hungry day, I could eat it all by myself. I missed a step. When all the beef is brown, deglaze the pan with a good glug of brandy. Return the beef and vegetables to the pot, cover them with most of a decent bottle of red wine, and throw in a stalk of celery and bay leaf if you've got them. Ooh, I forgot to put a bay leaf in mine. No, wait, did I? Simmer gently, partly covered for 3 or 4 hours. So brandy and red wine. I used white in mine because I needed to use it before it turned into vinegar. Okay. So Thank you for that note. I don't have any health code violation updates this week, unfortunately, but Brian did. What were we watching? I think we were watching 8 out of 10 Cats, where they made the contestants be massaged, and one of them couldn't handle it, and they brought out that like whisk metal head massage thing that, I don't know, some people like it. Brian says he hated it, and he did mention that when he would go to the mall around here growing up, the kiosk workers would walk up to you and start using it on your head, which sounds like a health code violation to me and a great way to spread lice throughout the mall. Valentine's Day is coming up, so I have ordered myself a box of chocolates. I don't know if I told you that. Brian always gets me Walmart chocolate, so I've decided to take matters into my own hands and buy myself chocolate this year. Shane's Confectionery in Philadelphia is where I got chocolates from. They have a buttercream filled chocolate box. I think they have some other varieties too. I think I've already talked about this, but I am waiting for it to arrive to my house. My house, which is snowed in right now, so it's probably not coming today. Speaking of Valentine's Day, every Valentine's Day I remember kindergarten Valentine's Day. Actually, I think it was first grade Valentine's Day. This girl, Danielle James, gave me a Valentine's card. I mean, we all gave each other Valentine's cards. The one that she gave me, I remember her handing it to me, and she's like, I picked this one out for you because it's so funny. And I think there was a picture of a duck on the card. And then it said, you quack me up. And she was laughing so hard. And I did not understand. I didn't understand the joke. And I kept it under my bed. And every so often, every few months for years, I would pull it out from under the bed and study the card like an ancient text and try and figure out what the joke was. It didn't occur to me till years later, maybe when I was in college. It suddenly struck me that it was you crack me up. But I always treasure that memory. The last news update that I have for you guys before we get into the scent update category is that Guy Fieri has debuted a new look. My last update about him was that his leg exploded. I guess he's okay now. He has a new look. I don't know if he's okay, actually, because he has a new look. And it's not what you would expect. It's brown hair, combed down, very straight, no beard, no glasses, no rockabilly. I think that this is for a Super Bowl commercial based off of an article on people.com that I read. So I do feel like I am being manipulated into sharing this. It is all about an ad, but I did want to bring it to your attention. Let's talk about scents. First of all, I want to add in here that trying out a lot of perfumes, but the most delightful smell of all is my cat named Daddy. I have 2 cats. One is named Daddy. His full name is Gray Daddy, which was just a placeholder name. I got 3 kittens about 3 Novembers ago, and I just gave them placeholder names because I didn't know which one I was going to keep and which 2 were going to go to my parents. I named the one that had a spot on its spot. I named the tabby one Toby. I named the one that was completely gray, Gray Daddy, after a friend in Chicago who names all of his blankets. Scratchy Brown, Gray Daddy. So I named him Gray Daddy. Now his name is Daddy. He smells like toasted strawberry Pop-Tarts most of the time. Sometimes he smells like the early 90s version of the McDonald's Happy Meal cookies, which used to be like a plain butter shortbread style cookie. I think they are cinnamon. They've been cinnamon since the mid-90s. He smells like Lorna Doones sometimes. He has a lot of smells. I should have written them down because they've been very fascinating over the years. But lately, the most common one is like a toasted strawberry Pop-Tart. My other cat is named Beetle. He doesn't smell like anything very nice, I would say. I did write a poem about him last night in the shower, and I would like to read it to you. And this poem is meant to be sung to the tune of Silver Bells, but I'm not going to sing it. Red-tailed hawks sometimes stalk my obese cat in the driveway. Death is near. Do not fear. You're too fat to be taken away. Okay, diptyque review. Well, let me preface this by I've ran through my Le Labo scents. I've ran through my diptyque samples, and I ordered, I don't know, maybe 10 scents from a website that I wasn't sure if it was real or not, but they did arrive at my house. I have them. So I'm slowly going through them. I have 2 for you today. Yesterday, I tried the diptyque L'Eau de Neroli, whose notes per the website are neroli, bergamot, orange blossom, beeswax. So I don't think I actually ordered this one, but I did order many other neroli-based perfumes. So I'm wondering if this was maybe a replacement or a substitute for something that I ordered that they were out of, or possibly a bonus because I ordered so many samples. I would describe it as lovely, subtle, distant, powdery. I'm going to just read you what I wrote. This would be great layered over the Le Labo Bergamo, which I initially shrugged at, maybe because of Reddit users saying that this was a fuckboy scent. But I wore it again last week on a cold day, and the muskiness was very welcome. I was going to resell my samples, but maybe I should revisit them all. They say that you need to taste things twice. I liked this scent, not enough to pay full price for it. It didn't transport me. I think at the end of the day, I need a scent that transports me. Like 10 years ago when I initially experienced Le Labo for the first time, specifically the rose scent, knocked my socks off. So far, the lavender Le Labo is the only one that blew me away like that. But I did see someone on Reddit say that it smells like European cleaning products. And I can't get that out of my head. And I'm not sure if I want to pursue that scent, especially if I meet a European. The next scent that I tried, next and last, Van Cleef and Arpels Neroli Amara. This smells like, which I'm wearing right now. This smells like a flavored margarita from Chili's, maybe the blood orange flavor, which I've had, or maybe a discontinued Minute Maid juice concentrate can. It starts out really juicy, really Minute Maid orange juice from concentrate. It does fade nicely. Let me read you the official description. Quote, a symphony of sunny notes, end quote. Top notes, Italian lemon, mandarin, bergamot, heart notes, pink peppercorn, cypress, base notes, orange, blossom, absolute. Okay, so I think what drew me to this perfume, well, first of all, I Googled what perfume has both neroli and peppercorn. This one came up. I want more pink peppercorn. I want more cypress. Let me take a smell right now, actually. It's nice. I don't know if I would buy it. But again, I think I need to revisit every sample. So as I was looking up, I was doing a little bit more research about the neroli. especially when with the diptyque, it's like neroli, bergamot, orange blossom. It's like, why all these oranges? And I don't know. If I'm so obsessed with neroli, why didn't I look it up? Like, why am I not a properly curious person? I finally looked up what neroli is. Wait, hold on, I forget. I have a link here to the Wikipedia page. I just want to get it right. Neroli oil is an essential oil produced from the blossom of the bitter orange tree. What makes it different is the extraction method, which uses steam, which contributes to its essence. Tunisia, Morocco, and Egypt are the leading producers of neroli. History: by the end of the 17th century, Anne Marie Orsini, Duchess of Bracciano and Princess of Nerola, Italy, introduced the essence of bitter orange tree as a fashionable fragrance by using it to perfume her gloves and her bath. Since then, the term neroli has been used to describe this essence. Neroli has a refreshing and distinctive spicy aroma with sweet and flowery notes. I don't think it's spicy, but I do wish that it had that tropical, sorry, I'm sniffing my wrist, that tropical pepperiness to it. Let's see. Here was my favorite part of the Wikipedia article. It also has a limited use in flavorings. Neroli oil is reportedly one of the ingredients in the closely guarded secret recipe for the Coca-Cola soft drink. Okay, there's a footnote that will take you to This American Life, episode 437 from 2011. It is a flavoring ingredient of open source cola recipes, although some of the variants consider it as optional owing to the high cost. Okay. I thought that was interesting. Linked, see also petite grain oil, one word. Petite grain is one word. This was in one of the diptyque scents that I tried, and I was like, what the hell is that? Of course, I didn't look into it. But I'm glad that I did. Because, so first of all, it's an essential oil that is extracted from the leaves and the twigs of the bitter orange tree. Interesting. Greenish, woody orange smell that is widely used in perfumery and colognes. There's a note at the end. It is used in perfumery and aromatherapy as fresh scented essential oils. As of 1923, it was part of the formula for Pepsi Cola. Fascinating. I hate Pepsi, but that is really interesting. Okay, that concludes our scent review for the week. My next and last category is internet, which my internet and my news and updates category are kind of blending together because I'm getting all my news from the internet. I don't have cable. I don't get a physical newspaper sent to my house. So the world is getting smaller in some ways. So let's jump into my first item, which is a TikTok video, which is a Dua Lipa modified Diet Coke. I'm going to have to click on the link because I don't remember what she did to it. But someone recreated it. I'm going to read you the video. I tried Dua Lipa's Diet Coke recipe. Thank you. Oh, pickle juice. Okay. Oh, and jalapeno juice. Pickle juice and jalapeno juice. And this person said that it was good. I would try that. I would do it with a Coke Zero, though. Okay, I saw a TikTok video about the 5 oldest sit-down establishments in North Carolina. Spoiler alert, the oldest is actually like 2 blocks away from I don't know. It's like a 10-minute walk from my office. So, and I think I've been there, but I think I only got coffee. And I was like, I'm not eating here. This looks stupid. Carolina Coffee Shop. Not to dox myself. But Anyway, the second oldest is really what is catching my attention. It's called Snappy Lunch, first of all. Let me go to their Google page. I think, where is it? It's called a breakfast restaurant. Local landmark diner serving breakfast plates, biscuits, and sandwiches in a no-nonsense setting. I love a no-nonsense setting. It's in Mount Airy, North Carolina. Let's see. Highlights: famous pork chop sandwich, biscuits and gravy, potatoes and chips, which is a styrofoam cup of soda. Wait, popular potato chips. It's a mini bag of Lay's. That's pretty sad. Popular ham sandwich. Looks like it's been stepped on. Bologna and cheese. That looks like a fried bologna. My pork chop sandwich. The world famous pork chop sandwich. Pork chop sandwich all the way with the top half of the bun removed. Okay, AI needs to be edited a little bit in this menu highlights. Bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit. Cheese is spelled wrong. Fried bologna sandwich. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Double all meat cheeseburger. Ooh, I'm into that. Let's see if there's anything else. Famous tenderloin sandwich. I think we already got that like 8 times now. Hot dog all the way, which seems to be like the cookout style, Carolina style, which is like really chopped up coleslaw. People mince their coleslaw to hell down here, sliced and diced. BLT, butter and jelly, is a popular menu item. Just a plastic ramekin of butter and jelly. Pork chops on the grill. Tenderloin with egg biscuit. All right. Okay, I just left a mysterious TikTok link. Let's click through and see what I left for my future self. Okay. TikTok account is called Living Food 03. Alfonso Prisco. He's somewhere in Italy. Oh, he's in Naples. What caught my attention was, first of all, I think we can all agree that people outside of the United States do not know how to make sandwiches. And I think we've become more and more aware of this now that especially people in Italy are making sandwiches on TikTok. And not a speck of salt or seasoning to be found. What caught my attention to this guy, however, is first of all, he's very well dressed, but not too well dressed. He just looks like a proper gentleman, ready for work. Loves his business, loves his job. Really nice striped apron that he has going. What caught my attention, I keep getting off track, the ciabatta that he's using. Wonderful fermentation. He cuts it open, super crispy on the outside. It just came out of the oven and the steam is rolling off of it, which actually you really should let your bread rest before you do that, in my opinion. And I think most bakers would agree. But the fermentation and the big giant air holes in this are just divine. And you can tell it's crispy. Sometimes he douses it with a ton of olive oil and then throws meat on there, maybe some cheese, maybe some potatoes. I mean, imagine dousing meat, cheese, and potatoes in oil and not adding salt. You need to add some salt, maybe a sauce. These Italian sandwich makers have never heard of sauce. It's like, I remember I lived in Italy for a summer when I was a teenager and had access to incredible food in people's homes, at restaurants. I lived with an Italian family. They took me over to there's this like gay couple who lived on Lake Como. We went over to their house for this huge spread. I mean, it was incredible. But I grew up in the state that has the highest Italian population in the nation, and I would argue that Italian Americans do it better. And so I was not impressed. And actually, I've been thinking, I'm really obsessed with Elizabeth, I'm going to butcher her last name, Minchilli. I found her on TikTok, been following her for a while. She lives in Italy. She and her daughters, I believe, have a Italian food tour and they have, I really want to go to Puglia and do a food tour there and see all the architecture, the old towns. And of course, it's like $7,000 to go, and that doesn't include flights. So I don't know. Is it worth it? Maybe if I was like trying to lose money, trying to spend my money. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. They still have tickets. The only one that still has tickets available is this one in Puglia. Everything else is sold out or waitlisted. And I'm like, it feels like a sign that I checked the website and the place that I happen to want to go is still available. I don't know. I also am worried about flying into Italy and navigating to. Anyway, this is all to say, I don't know if it's worth spending all that money on food that is, I could just go to New Jersey. I could go to New York. I could go to Connecticut. So I'm going to keep thinking about it. All right. I do have some, one more food update and then a couple non-food updates because, I do things and consume media that is not food related that I do like to talk about. So I am watching 90 Day Fiancé. Been catching up on 90 Day Diaries, which is a spinoff. They have a million spinoffs where they let the former 90 Day people film themselves on their iPhone and then send the footage in and they edit it. I think it started because of the pandemic. So there's this one guy, Josh, who describes himself as an extremely young 44. His business is very mysterious. At first glance, it sort of seems like he maybe traffics women. What he tells us is that he has a modeling company, a modeling agency. He travels a lot to find models. He's always going to Vegas. Anyway, his son got in a bad car accident. The friend in the car died. The son got rushed to the hospital. And Josh kept saying they had to take his leg, which makes it sound like the hospital needed it for something. Maybe he was a leg donor. It's a strange way to say that they had to amputate your son's leg. Okay, New York Times recipe that I came across. So I share a New York Times cooking app login with my family so I can see what other recipes people are looking up. Somebody, I'm going to try and guess, maybe my mom? I mean, definitely either my mom or one of my sisters. Somebody in my family was looking at a recipe called energy bars, which is a crazy thing to name food. Any edible bar is an energy bar. Any food is energy food. It sounds like something you would find in a video game. Sounds like a resource. And this morning, I woke up early before work to watch the new episode of Real Housewives of Potomac, where Miss Karen, the Grand Dame, got out of jail, and Andy Cohen interviews her. And I did want to share this because her husband, Ray, who refers to himself as, well, maybe Karen refers to him as the Black Bill Gates. So he's really into computers. And so which is crazy. Okay, he's really into computers. I guess he's really smart. The decorations that he put up for his wife getting out of jail, they have a metal screen in front of their fireplace. He tied 2 balloons to the metal screen, and then he took an 8.5 by 11 piece of computer paper and printed out "Welcome Home" in Microsoft Word. Printed it out. And the daughter was cracking up because I guess this is the font that he uses for everything. This 2001 outdated font. And she's like, you have to stop using that font. It reminded me of Brian's dad, who is addicted to Comic Sans. I don't think he'll ever stop using it. Every time Brian would receive a package from his dad when we lived in Chicago, his dad would print out a label, biggest Comic Sans he could do on the computer, print it out, tape it onto the box. Any label that you would ever encounter. He made a label. Well, we always do a family reunion for 4th of July. And he printed out a label for the trash can in Comic Sans. Anyway, I'm going to get into what I ate this past week. Starting off with January 26, 2026, which was a Monday. 9 a.m. Leftover coffee with half and half and 2 sunny eggs on 2 small slices of seeded forbidden rice sourdough toasted in butter made at home. 12 p.m. Stacy's Parmesan and garlic pita chips with Kelowna French onion dip and blueberries. 4 p.m. A glass of Musto Carmelitano Aglianico de Future Piandamoro. 5 p.m. Baked shells with Italian sausage, tomato sauce made with Dani Co-op, Gusta Rosso, San Marzano tomatoes, fresh mozzarella, and Parmesan made at home. 7 p.m. Bluebell cherry vanilla ice cream. This was an ice day. We were iced in. Everything was closed. Kept slipping and sliding around our yard and sliding into the woods because we live on a hill. So we got to stay inside and drink wine and eat chips and dip. I got to say this sauce that I made for these baked shells was divine. These Dani Co-op Gusta Rosso San Marzano tomatoes were amazing. And I used this Pianzo Moro wine in it, which I think really helped. Very tannic, juicy but dry, tannic, earthy. I loved it. I really did. I'm butchering. I mean, I did study Italian, obviously. I stayed with a family. Here's the thing. I studied Italian. I went to live in Italy as a teenager to study Italian. They stuck me with a host family that was from Spain. So we just spoke in Spanish the whole time. I did end up taking more Italian in college. Aglianico. I think I pronounced it right. But it's been a while. So let's just click on this wine real quick. North Berkeley Imports has a write-up on it. It's a PDF. Musto Carmelitano offers an honest, unadulterated taste of what great Aglianico can and should be. Beautiful, elegant, balanced. The family's wines are a revelation, finally unveiling the true soul of one of Italy's most noble grapes. Elisabetta and her brother Luigi are the heart of this family estate, both young, deeply passionate vine growers determined to show the world what they feel is the true expression of the older vine Aglianico grown on Basilicata's unique volcanic soils. Basilicata. Okay. Piandamoro is a selection of ancient Aglianico vines, many of which were planted layered from the plot's original 100-year vines by winemaker Elisabetta's grandfather. Let's see. Tasting impressions. Aromas of cherries, licorice, black summer berries, hints of chocolate. Smooth, silky, very deep and complex. Long. Pairing suggestions. Grilled steak. Ossobuco. Game. Notes. Piandamoro means dark fields in a local dialect. Certified organic. Thank you. Now let's go over to the Gustiamo tomatoes. Whoa, $10.75 a can for like a 28-ounce can. Again, this was a Christmas gift. My mom likes to get me a Gustiamo haul since she knows I don't have access to good Italian products down here. For Christmas, she always sends me home with a good haul. Accept no limitations. Oh, wait, sorry. Accept no imitations. This is the real San Marzano, the famous king of tomatoes. Prize. Yeah, we know. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. We know. Let's hear about this. Okay. Ardeni Co-op Gustarosso DOP San Marzano tomatoes are produced according to the highest standards by Danny Co-op or Danny Coop. It's not hyphenated. A cooperative of about 100 farmers in the Agro Sarnese Nocerino. In this small area of South Napoli, the fertile Vesuvian soils create the ideal growing conditions for these outstanding tomatoes, enhanced by the cooperative centuries-old cultivation methods, including manual spring water irrigation and hand harvesting. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you. It was good. I would not pay $10.75 for it, though. I don't know. Maybe I would. It was that good. But maybe it was the wine that made it good. I think also I've been making tomato sauces with passata for the last 6 months, and I think that actual San Marzano tomatoes are the way to go. Okay, January 27th, 2026. It was a Tuesday. 8 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 9 a.m. A bowl of bran flakes with milk. 1 p.m. Stacy's pita chip crumbs. 3:30 p.m. A spicy soft taco and a volcano quesarito with slow roasted chicken from Taco Bell in Oxford, North Carolina. 4 p.m. A pour of Modelo, tortilla chips and queso, and chile verde with refried beans at Toros Cantina in Oxford, North Carolina. Okay, this was an interesting day. Again, we were iced in, but it was sunny enough that it was starting to melt. I didn't have to go to work anyway, but Brian was home. Sort of ate human kibble all day until Brian had to go out. He tried to clear the ice off of our cars and he broke his windshield wipers. So he had to go to town. I said, I'm going to put an order in on the Taco Bell app because I have rewards that I must redeem. Please bring the Taco Bell home. So he did. And I was so hungry. I was housing it. Ate the spicy soft taco as soon as I could. Was on my way to finishing this volcano quesarito with a slow roasted chicken substitution when Brian's parents called with a medical emergency and some sort of health scare that turned out to be okay. But at the time, we were like, wait, what? And they said, please come as soon as you can to this Mexican restaurant that we're at and eat dinner with us. It was 3:30. First of all, we have jobs. Sometimes they do forget that. They don't quite understand that we do work full time. So to ask us to come to dinner at 3:30, also it was 3:30. Why are we going to dinner? But because there was this sort of health related scare, we were like, I guess we have to go, even though I had just eaten 2 Taco Bell items. While we were on the phone with them, a sheet of ice from the top of their car fell onto their windshield. They went blind and they had to pull over on the side of the road. They were screaming on the phone. Anyway, we went to go meet them at the Mexican restaurant, which was in the Walmart parking lot. It was like a strip mall in the Walmart parking lot, which oddly enough, Brian Jordan Alvarez just made a video about this, about Mexican restaurants being in Walmart strip mall parking lots in the South. And also every Mexican restaurant within a 30-mile radius of me is called Toros, like some rendition of Toros. And anytime someone says, meet me at Toros, they never specify which one they're going to. And I'm almost certain that they all have different owners. Anyway, we took a good guess based on where they were and chose the right Toros. I was convinced it was a different one. We made the right decision that we met them there. And let's see. First of all, I wasn't hungry and I was panicking. I ordered a beer. I ordered a Modelo and drank that. Had a few chips with some queso and some bean dip. I didn't know what I wanted. I panicked and I ordered the chile verde. It was on the chef specials list. It was disgusting. Pork that tasted rancid, smothered in green sauce with rice and beans and flour tortillas. It was bigger than anybody else's food plate. It was horrendous. I couldn't eat any of it. I played with my food for a long time and then finally boxed it up at the end. And, thank God I didn't eat it, because Brian's mom was sick in the bathroom for the rest of the night. And Brian called me the next morning at 7 and said, throw the food away. My mom is sick. So different kind of medical emergency happened than initially thought. Meanwhile, while we were at the Mexican restaurant, the last few times that we've met up with Brian's mom, she wants to talk about Jeremy Renner, who's been in the news lately for some questionable things. I think he was threatening to deport somebody who refused his romantic advances. I think he's in some sort of show that they're watching, maybe Yellowstone. I don't know. Anyway, she's obsessed with him. She's reading his book. She cannot get over his accident. She won't stop talking about him. And I brought up the Jeremy Renner app. I said, did you know about the Jeremy Renner app? Are you a true Jeremy Renner head? Do you know about the Jeremy Renner app? Of course they didn't know about the Jeremy Renner app. I would like to read a Google summary of the Jeremy Renner app to you, in case you don't know about it. I remember where I was, when and where I was when I heard about the Jeremy Renner app. It's kind of like the JFK shooting or 9/11 to me. Here we go. The Jeremy Renner official app was a 2017 mobile platform created for fans to interact directly with the actor, which was then shut down in September 2019. Developed by EscapeX, it featured exclusive content, a social feed, and in-app purchases for, in quotes, stars to boost user comments. The app was shuttered following intense, uncontrollable trolling and bullying. Key details about the app. Purpose. It was designed as a dedicated social media space for Ren heads to receive updates and interact with Jeremy Renner. The stars system. Users could buy in-app currency to make their comments more visible to Renner, which was criticized for its pay-to-play nature. Downfall. The app became plagued by impersonators, malicious users, and spam after a technical flaw allowed for manipulated notifications. Shutdown. Renner officially shut down the app in September 2019, stating it had become everything I detest. Rest in peace. I did link the Wikipedia page because I do think that there's some good things on there. There's a picture. There's a section called Controversies. Harassment is a section. After its release in 2017, the app was met with waves of harassment and bullying by many users. Some death threats were made. Wow. By fraud accounts pretending to be several controversial celebrities, including O.J. Simpson and Casey Anthony. Wow. Why would O.J. Simpson do that? Okay, January 28th, 2026. It was a Wednesday. 8 a.m., leftover coffee and half. 10:30 a.m., leftover baked shells. Cake room, nothing. But the room smelled like illegal seafoods. 4 p.m., a leftover beefy loaded potato griller from Taco Bell. 7 p.m., frozen screamin' Sicilian pepperoni pizza and romaine lettuce with Parmesan and creamy Caesar dressing made at home. Yeah, there was a legal seafood, baked clams with garlic butter smell going on in the office. They're called stuffies by some New Englanders. Legal Seafoods is where I always went when we went to Boston and visit my grandparents growing up. And I always got a clam chowder, and a Shirley Temple, and other things. I don't remember. I took some advice from my sister who said that Taco Bell actually makes really great leftovers, so always over order, which you don't have to tell me to do. But I put it in the oven for like 20 minutes at 350, and she was right. It's amazing. Brian went on a field trip. He went on a trip to the NC State Cherry Research Station now I don't remember where it is, but it's somewhere like an hour away south. And he said it was like super rural, and he's like, I found all these like great like old-timey places to eat, old school places to eat. I think Goldsburg, they actually have a ton of Thai and Middle Eastern places, so I don't know what he was talking about. But he said that they gave him lunch, and it was some of the best food he's ever eaten, which I find insulting. He said it was made by a mysterious woman who left. It was fried chicken, green beans, and boiled potatoes made by a, quote, random woman. I said, you just had plain boiled potatoes and they were best potatoes you ever had? And he said, yes. Okay. Best green beans. They were the Southern smothered and cooked to death style. He said they were amazing. Whatever. I ate I was really worried about eating this frozen Screamin' Sicilian pizza, because the last time I had a regular thickness frozen Screamin' Sicilian pepperoni pizza, it was not good, and I think it made Brian sick, and it was also misshapen. This one was a lot better. Back on board. Okay. January 29th, 2026. It was a Thursday, 8 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home. 9:30 a.m. A leftover cheesy double beef burrito from Taco Bell. 1 p.m. Leftover frozen pizza. 6 p.m. Panko crusted chicken tenders, Napa cabbage slaw, and fry sauce with banana pepper vinegar made at home. 8 p.m. A coffee caramel cookie from Whole Foods. Okay. I just want to say I'm not sponsored by Taco Bell or really anybody. I mean, sponsored by my day job is the reality of it. Let's see. I do want to talk about these chicken tenders. First of all, this coffee caramel cookie from Whole Foods was disgusting. Chris's Cookies, they make, more classic cookie styles, chocolate chip, what have you. They're disgusting. They taste like, I don't know how to describe it. They taste like eating raw sugar. It's disgusting. I don't know what they're doing, but it tastes bad. And the regular Whole Foods cookies that are not in the cookie bar, they do much better chocolate chip cookies there. And you should just stick to that, I think. Anyway, I had chicken tenders and I wanted to bread and fry them. And I was really craving the Laurie Colwin mustard baked chicken. So I did a rendition of that. First of all, I will read you the recipe. It's really simple. In case you want to make it, I highly recommend it. I think I've talked about it on here before. She died of an aneurysm at 48, by the way. R.I.P. Okay. 3/4 of a cup of Dijon mustard, 1 clove of garlic minced, 1 tablespoon of fresh thyme, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, salt and pepper, 1 cup of panko crumbs, 4 chicken thighs, 3 tablespoons of butter. Instructions. Heat oven to 350 degrees. Combine mustard, garlic, thyme, cinnamon, and a pinch of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper in a bowl. Place panko crumbs in another bowl. Working in batches, coat chicken thighs on all sides with the mustard mixture, then coat completely with the breadcrumbs. Arrange the chicken thighs in a single layer on a large shallow baking pan. Dot with butter. Bake until the crust is deep golden brown and crispy, about 2 hours. Serve hot or at room temperature. I love a fried chicken that is better at room temperature, like a picnic chicken, proper picnic chicken. Smithfield's chicken, which is like a chain around here, does that very well, I would say. It's almost better at room temp. So I decided I couldn't bake this because, to get that crispiness in the oven with chicken tenders, I was going to dry the hell out of those. So I decided to fry them. So here's my take. I had chicken tenders. I don't know, I probably had like 1.5 pounds or so. I had a lot of them. I salted them for a while, dry brine, if you will. I did a flour coating, I believe. Yeah, I did flour. And then for my middle wet, I did Grey Poupon Dijon mustard. I had to make 2 rounds of this because I ran out halfway through. But I initially did about 2 tablespoons of Grey Poupon Dijon mustard, a pinch of cinnamon, a heaping pinch of garlic powder, an egg, and a tablespoon of water. And I mixed that all together, maybe a little bit more water. And then I had to make that again. This was great. I really liked it. That touch of cinnamon really gives it something. And then the fry sauce that I made was great. So I did Duke's mayonnaise and like 2 parts Duke's to 1 part ketchup, and then some of the vinegar from my pickled banana peppers Food Lion brand. And that was great. It was basically a Raising Cane's sauce, which reminded me of one of the only times I've ever had Raising Cane's was when I was driving a U-Haul. Well, I just got my driver's license, just learned how to drive, and Brian drove the U-Haul down here. I drove his car with the cats in the passenger seat. My old cat, my current obese cat, and then my old nice cat who died like as soon as we moved here. She did not want to be here. And it's a long drive, so we had to stay overnight in a hotel in Chillicothe. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a place in Ohio. And I found one of the only hotels that allowed pets. And we walked into the hotel. I was wearing a camo shirt. I don't know why. Like I was hiding. I was on the run. And we're checking in the hotel. And they said, "Oh, you must be here for the hunting convention." I said, "No." And then the person behind the desk pointed down the hall was a convention center filled with hunters wearing camo. So then we went to Raising Cane's and ate it in our room. January 30th, 2026 was a Friday, 8 a.m. Stock cold brew with half and half and a bowl of bran flakes with milk. Cake room. New York Times page-a-day recipes for roasted turkey meatballs with mozzarella and scallions, vegan Caesar salad with crisp chickpeas, and caldo verde, in parentheses, potato and greens soup with sausage. 1 p.m. A chicken marsala sandwich with lemon parsley ricotta, chicken cutlets, and oyster and baby Bella mushroom marsala sauce from Ideals in North Carolina. 2:30 p.m. 2 Malvi passion fruit flavored marshmallows. 6 p.m. Leftover chicken tenders with a cookout buffalo sauce mayonnaise, leftover slaw over baby arugula, a sliver of Ideals rosemary focaccia, and a leftover slice of frozen pepperoni pizza. 7 p.m. Amalfi marshmallow, half of a cookie medallion speculoos-filled Chris's, a cup of Earl Grey tea with half and half, and a cup of Earl Grey tea with half and half made at home. This was a weird day. First of all, I bought 2 bottles of this cold brew from Whole Foods. It was on sale. It's spelled STOK. This tastes like coffee flavor in liquid form. Brian says it tastes like how a Dunkin' Donuts smells. It's very strange. I'm actually drinking it right now, and it's kind of disgusting. But it is taking up a lot of real estate in my fridge, so I do have to drink it. Sorry, I just took a sip to remind me about the flavor of that. So I got to the office. Now, I was aware, because of the internet, of the general strike that was going on. So let me just read what I wrote, because I wrote my thoughts down on this in the moment. General strike. So many small businesses and independent restaurants that I follow on the internet said that they were going to close for the day on that Friday for a general strike against ICE. But a few, many of whom actually were owned by folks that I've worked with in the past, are remaining open so that their employees can avoid missing a day of paid work and therefore go a day unpaid, especially restaurant workers who don't have PTO or protections, so that the small business owners themselves can, and also so that the small business owners themselves can pay rent during an otherwise extremely slow month, on top of being closed for multiple weekends already this month due to weather. So there were a lot of angry comments saying that they were virtue signaling by posting in the first place. I saw some interesting counters by people claiming to be labor organizers who said that this vaguely general strike organized by who knows who on the internet only hurts the small businesses that participate, and that large companies will continue to remain open regardless, and often be the only option open for people to spend money if they need to get something, which I thought was interesting. I mean, I don't know who organized this strike. I didn't really do a lot of research into it, and it doesn't seem, based on these labor organizer comments, their thoughts was this wasn't organized by a proper labor organizer, because they're not considering the challenges that a small business has and the pressure they feel to participate in something that maybe doesn't make a lot of financial sense for them. Anyway, I was like, are people working? I looked all over like my company Teams, my company emails. Nobody said anything. So I was like, well, I guess I'll go to work, because me not showing up to work doesn't really do anything, because nobody even talks to me when I go into the office. So I went into work because my job doesn't matter. It would have zero effect on anything if I didn't show up. Got to work, and my boss X'd out her calendar and did not show up. I'm assuming because she was on strike. I know that she is very politically active. She participates in all the protests in town, so that's my best guess. She participated in the strike and didn't tell me for some reason. So I thought, I'm going to go. And I'm going to go support a small business, which is kind of an excuse to go buy a sandwich. But I thought, let me go support a small business that I know is struggling. Ideals, my favorite place. They had to shut down last weekend because of the ice storm. They had to shut down the next day because of the snow. I said, I'm going to go stand in line and get a sandwich from them. And I did. I got their special, which was great. I wish I had a little bit more ricotta. I think I could have used a little bit of arugula on there. That was my personal preference. That's what I would have loved. And then I thought, well, I have to take a meeting in an hour. And I looked on the Instagram for Cocoa Cinnamon. It's a series of 3 cafes owned by immigrants in Durham. And they said, we're open. We're an immigrant-run business. Like, come support us. Come give us money. And I thought, I'll go work there. That'll be perfect. And I'll support these small businesses. Do something. That meeting was canceled, so I ended up just driving home. And I feel a little bit bad about that, but I supported one small business. Anyway, there was an impending snowstorm, so I also stopped at Whole Foods out of fear. And I got this pack of Malvi brand marshmallows, originally retailing for $3.99, which is $1 a marshmallow. They were on sale for $1.79. I loved these. They were divine. The texture was divine. 10 out of 10 experience. The flavor was subtle. I wish it was a little bit more tart. There was a raspberry powder dusting on top, which was a nice touch. I do think that raspberry and passion fruit have a very similar... I have the same reaction. I love them for the same reasons. There's something like... It's like a fruit umami flavor to me. I love whatever compound is expressing that flavor. I gave Brian one of them, and he said that it was... I wish I remembered the word he used. Like, it was so hearty. Oh my God, what a hearty marshmallow. Oh my God, it's too much. Now I can't... Like, it spoiled his dinner. He's being a baby. So while I was at Ideals, I got two, I think, day-old focaccia. Pretty small. I mean, I don't know, maybe like 6 inches, 5 or 6 inches in diameter. Got a couple of those. I froze one and I cut it open, made a few slices out of it. You know, I never have anything bad to say about Ideals, but their focaccia looks really good, but you know, focaccia shouldn't dry out after a day. Like, focaccia keeps well. And I think I was underwhelmed by it. I think what's going on, it's maybe a lower hydration dough. I don't think it was, the fermentation could have been pushed longer. You know, I'm glad I tried it because I'm always like, you can order a sandwich on focaccia or like an Italian seeded roll. I always do the seeded roll. I'm glad because I would not eat the focaccia again. Fortunately, I have another one in the freezer to eat. I did toast it and cut it up the next day with olive oil and it was lovely. But you should be able to eat untoasted focaccia and still have it taste great. Now, I'm biased. Actually, let me pause and get my recipe for this out of my recipe box. Hold on. Okay, so I used to make focaccia at Good Ambler, and it would take my entire shift. It was a mad rush to get it done before I had to leave for the day without getting overtime. And it was an all-day process. Let's just get into it. AP flour, 1,100 grams. Bread flour, 174 grams. Yeast, 12 grams. Water, 900 grams. Poolish, 140 grams. Salt, 28 grams. Olive oil, 180 grams. So you're going to mix the flours, the yeast, the water, and the poolish, and you're going to autolyse it for 25 minutes. Then you're going to add the salt and mix for 5 minutes, about medium speed, with a bread hook. Then you're going to add the oil. Then you're going to bulk ferment it. You're going to do 4 stretch and folds every 45 minutes. Then you're going to divide the dough. I believe this yields 4 sheet tray size focaccia. So it's about 1,250 grams per sheet tray. And then you're going to stretch the dough 4 times every 15 minutes to have it fit the full sheet tray. Gently stretch it as to not knock out the air. And then you bake at 425 for 21 minutes. So the last thing I did before I went home, I'd bake these focaccia and got them out of the oven. We did sprinkle it with Maldon salt as well. And these were pillowy. We used it for sandwiches. Pillowy, airy, high, light, kept really well, retained moisture. And that really sort of set the bar. So when I see a really dense, dry focaccia, I'm confused. Like, I'm sure it's easier to make focaccia that way and more cost effective, but good focaccia takes a long time. You need to do a Polish or a sourdough. My opinion. Let's see. And then I have a version that I made, which I haven't made in a while, but this is more like a one serving. Oh, it's the same recipe. It's just reduced for a single serving. So 350 grams of bread flour, 60 grams of rye flour, 70 grams of Polish, 10 grams of salt, 3 grams of yeast, 330 grams of water. So these are super high hydration focaccia, which I would recommend. Anyway, I said that Ideals is opening a commissary, and sometimes I'm like, oh, man, I should really go and see if I can get into their bread program there, but I'm sure they have people already in place who are first in line for that. Let's see. Let's move on to Saturday. January 31st, 2026 was a Saturday. 9 a.m. Counterculture coffee with half and half made at home, and seeded forbidden rice sourdough toasted in butter, scrambled eggs, and half an avocado made at home. 11:30 a.m. A slice of banana bread with Isigny's Saint-Mer butter made at home. 2 p.m. My Three Sons fiery jalapeno pimento cheese. Mariek truffle Gouda, Firefly Farms Cabra La Mancha, and Saxon Homestead Creamery Hica Bay with Whole Foods assorted entertainment crackers and a glass of Pian del Moro. 8 p.m. Buttered popcorn with chili lime seasoning made at home. Okay. I made banana bread, which I will get into. I do want to know, when I was making breakfast, butter sizzling in a pan smells like hot dogs to me, because my mom used to always make our hot dogs in a buttered pan. Which, man, I don't eat hot dogs anymore, but maybe I should start. I'm trying to get brain cancer. This Three Sons fiery jalapeno pimento cheese, you need to let it come up to room temperature, otherwise it's trash. It's fine. It's pimento cheese. Fiery, I wouldn't say it's fiery. I guess this person was, let me go on their websites. Going from a career in orthodontics to making her homemade style pimento cheese and creamy dips and spreads, Dr. Cheryl Mitchell Barnett loves bringing a smile to your face. I don't know. I think you probably should stick to being a dentist. These cheeses were nice. I couldn't find anything about this Hica Bay cheese on the internet, beside it being a Gouda style. This Marieke truffle Gouda, how do you say that? Gouda, this good doesn't need an adornment, but it's hard to resist the addition of truffle. Mariek's young Gouda is crafted from raw Wisconsin cow's milk according to Dutch tradition, resulting in creamy wheels with a gentle, nutty sweetness. The addition of earthy black truffles and truffle oil takes this cheese from snackable to savor-worthy. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's check out this Firefly Farms Cabra La Mancha, which I really enjoyed. I love that truffle Gouda as well. I'm just being mean. Inspired by cheeses produced high in the Pyrenees of northern Spain's Basque region. As they age for 90 days, our cheesemakers hand wash, dry brush, and flip each one of these brined orange beauties over and over again. Okay. Thank you. And this buttered popcorn was great. So, banana bread. Let's talk about the rotting bananas in my house. I bought 3 bananas for the initial ice storm. I don't know why. Oh, because they're like temperature room stable. I thought, let's have some bananas around in case we lose power like the people of Nashville for 7 days. So had 3 bananas. Obviously, they started to go bad. So I was like, what am I going to do? I typically make the BA's best banana bread recipe, which is fine. I'm never blown away by banana bread in the first place. Or if I'm making a snack cake like this or a quick bread, I'm making a Dory Greenspan recipe historically. So I decided to check out Pancake Princess. She reviews and compares baking recipes. So, well, my first thought was, let me do a Sally's Baking Addiction recipe because she always wins these type of comparisons. Wrong. She did not score well on Pancake Princess's reviews. Neither did Serious Eats. Flour Bakery won her test. Flour Bakery tends to win some of her tests, at least the ones that I've happened to look at recently. Again, I don't understand why the highest score is a 7.6 out of 10. Is Pancake Princess surveying people who hate banana bread and asking them which one they hate the least? Yeah, the recipes are always like this. It's like the best score is a C. Smitten Kitchen was also super lowly, poorly rated. My mom is always sending me their recipes, and I'm like, who is this person? Like, whose random blog is this? Why are you trusting their recipes? I put a TikTok link in here to Boston Public Radio banana story. What is this? Hold on. Oh, it's about people buying bananas for the snowstorm. People had the same idea as me, I guess. It's also like during the pandemic, people kept buying bananas. I think for the same reason. It's like a fruit, something to have around on the counter that stays counter stable during the pandemic. And then everybody had to make banana bread because they were trapped in their homes with these rotting bananas. I remember when I first started working at Good Ambler, I didn't know that we made banana bread because I'd never made it. And there's so many things in the pastry cake case. I just didn't pay attention. And, I was mostly on savory. There was a full sheet tray of like black rotting bananas in the walk-in. And I took it out and I saw the chef. And I said, hey, do you want me to throw these away? And he said, no, are you stupid? That's for the banana bread. So we would like really let these bananas rot for the banana bread. It was disgusting. First of all, I don't like bananas. But like black, they were like they were like mummified. The bananas that I used were pretty, completely brown, but still edible inside. I do like a greener banana if I'm forced to eat one. Anyway, we would make travel cakes. We would make, I think we made a banana travel cake. I think we made some sort of lemon, I think like a lemon poppy seed, and then some sort of pistachio raspberry. I don't remember because I rarely made them, but sometimes I would. And the banana one, well, they were all fun because we would bake them in these loaf pans. We would do a butter line down the middle, have that perfect line. And then we would pop them out of the loaf pans and smear some sort of like stabilized caramel or jam all over them. We would just like give them a coating all over the muffin top part of the loaf. Then we would freeze them. And then once that caramel or jam was frozen on there, we would dip them in a ganache coating. So then when you would cut the banana travel cake open, this like room temp caramel would sort of pull out of it as you cut it, which was a nice touch, I thought. I don't think anybody ever bought them. At Whole Foods, they have something similar, but they call them tea bread. And I saw Dory Greenspan calls them visiting cakes. I really think a visiting cake, referring to them, marketing them as visiting cakes, I think would have helped them maybe sell a little bit better. Let's see. So I did want to visit this Dory Greenspan visiting cakes page real quick because she does talk about, let's see, what is it? Lemon spice visiting cake from my On Dessert column for the New York Times Magazine. Butter and flour for the pan, 1.5 cups or 190 grams of all-purpose flour, 1.25 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon ground cardamom, 1/2 teaspoon ground ginger, 1/2 teaspoon sea salt, 1.25 cups or 250 grams of sugar, 1 large or 2 small lemons, 4 large eggs at room temp, 1/2 cup or 120 milliliters of heavy cream, 1.5 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract, 5.5 tablespoons or 75 grams of unsalted butter, melted and cooled. 1/3 of a cup of marmalade for the glaze, optional. 1/2 teaspoon of water for the glaze, optional. I really like the idea of a lemon spiced something, but not cardamom and ginger being the spices, the only spices. I think I need something a little bit more cinnamon, allspice, anything else. I don't like a cardamom in a dessert. By the way, February 23rd is National Banana Bread Day. And I had a thought while I was eating this banana bread. Even if you don't add nuts to the banana bread, the very taste of banana bread alone in itself evokes the sense of biting into an under-toasted walnut. So don't even bother adding them, because you will get that sensation regardless. Okay. So Flour Bakery again won the Pancake Princess test. But I've also really wanted to do a tartine recipe for a while now. And so I decided to compare the two and then sort of combine them into my own version. So I made a chart. Let's just go through them. AP Flour. Flour Bakery uses 1.5 to 1/2 cups. Tartine uses a cup and 2 tablespoons. I used a cup and 2 tablespoons. Cornstarch. Tartine used 2 tablespoons, so I did 2. Baking soda, we all used 1 teaspoon. Baking powder, Flour didn't use any. Tartine used 2 teaspoons. I used 2 teaspoons. Salt, both Flour and Tartine used 1/2 teaspoon. I used a full teaspoon and still think it needed more. But I also used Diamond Crystal. Cinnamon, Flour uses a 1/4 teaspoon. Tartine uses a full teaspoon, so I used a full teaspoon. And nobody else used 5 spice, but I added 1/2 teaspoon of 5 spice. I was a little surprised. It seems both Flour and Tartine used plain white sugar. Flour used a cup and 2 tablespoons. Tartine used 3/4 cup plus 2 tablespoons. I think those 2 tablespoon additions are for the crust. So I used 1/2 cup of white and then 1/2 cup of light brown. Plus 2 tablespoons for the top. Let me add that. It's important. We all used 2 eggs. Fat. Flour used 1/2 cup of neutral oil. So did I. I used peanut. Tartine used 6 tablespoons of olive oil. We all basically used 3 bananas, except Flour wanted 3.5, which is a little picky. Flour used 2 tablespoons of sour cream or creme fraiche, they said. Tartine didn't use any dairy to speak of. I added 2 tablespoons of yogurt. And Flour used a teaspoon of vanilla. Tartine used 1.5 teaspoons. I accidentally did 2 teaspoons, so that's what it was. Flour wanted you to add 3/4 cup of walnuts. Tartine said walnuts and chocolate optional. I added 3 ounces of dark chocolate chopped up. I used Tony's chocolate. Is it chocolonely? Chocolonely? And then Flour didn't specify a topping, but Tartine said put banana slices and sugar on top. So basically I used the Tartine ratios, but the Flour method. And then I added the dairy as well from Flour. So you whip the egg whites and the sugar for about 5 minutes until light and fluffy. Then you slowly add the oil in on low speed, whisk attachment in your mixer. Then you slowly add the wet. Then you fold in the dry and the chocolate. Super simple. I baked that in a metal loaf pan, 325 for about an hour. I sprinkled sugar on the top. You really need to serve it with salted butter. It was great. I mean, it was great for banana bread. I don't know. I think it got a little bit more lift from whipping the egg whites and the sugar together. You know, the The flour bakery seemed to be a lot taller than the tartine version. So mine sort of fell somewhere in the middle. And it was good, served with salted French butter, for sure. February 1st, 2026, it was a Sunday. 9 a.m. Stock cold brew with half and half and olive oil toasted rosemary focaccia from Ideals with avocado made at home. 12 p.m. A slice of leftover banana bread with Isigny Sainte-Mère butter. 2:30 p.m. leftover popcorn. 4 p.m. spicy big tray chicken with rice noodles made at home. 6:30 p.m. a small piece of Tony's milk chocolate and Bluebell coffee ice cream with malt. Okay, I can't believe every time I record this, I'm like, there's probably like 30 minutes here that I could talk about. It's already at an hour 30, almost. So this is the last day. Here are my last final thoughts. I made spicy big tray chicken and forgot that I didn't have potatoes, which was so sad because that is the best part. The potatoes really soak up all that flavor. I mean, so does the chicken, and that's great too. And the noodles, of course. So while I was frying the chicken, I cleaned out my spice cabinet a little bit, and I had some old sesame seeds in there. So I added that to the spice mixture that I was going to fry in oil. I had a random knob of ginger in the fridge, so I cut that into quarters and let that simmer in the big spicy tray chicken. And I thought I needed some sort of vegetable since I didn't have potatoes. So I had a wedge of Napa cabbage that I chopped up and threw in there that basically disintegrated. You couldn't even tell there was cabbage in it. So because I didn't have that starch from the potatoes, I used a full pound of rice noodles instead of the usual half pound. So most of the liquid was absorbed, and it became more of a saucy experience than the typical soupy experience that you get from this dish, which, was a fun new way to eat it, I guess. I think I do prefer the soupy experience. My spice cabinet. I recently went to an Asian grocery store. I think I talked about that a week or two ago. Got some updated spices, so I needed to rearrange some things. Found some juniper berries, dried juniper berries that I collected 4 winters ago from the juniper trees we have. I also found a mysterious container of less than a teaspoon of white powder that Brian put into a Tupperware container and abandoned for the rest of time. So no idea what that was. Definitely threw that away. I got a Tupperware back. That's nice. And then I transferred a container of white peppercorns to an empty pepper grinder that I forgot I had. 2 Christmases ago, I went home and my dad's OXO pepper grinder that I also have was empty. And he said, "Do you want this?" And I said, "No, I already have I have the same one." And he was going to throw it away because he prefers the pepper grinder that you get the peppercorns in from the grocery store. Went home, and then I texted my dad. I was like, "Wait, mail me that pepper grinder." So he did, and then I forgot I had it, which is stupid because I have these white peppercorns that are homeless in my cabinet in a plastic deli container. So I put those in the OXO grinder. They fit perfectly. So now I have 3 pepper grinders now. I have 2 OXO. One is black peppercorns, one's white peppercorns, and then I have like an ancient OXO, or I think it's like an ancient white OXO pepper grinder that has like the churn handle, and I have Szechuan peppercorns in that. So interesting. Okay, bye.